Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of the history of Russia by Epic History, Birth of a European Power. So I wonder how far we're going to get up into the years here. I think we started or we ended off in the late 16th century last video. So will we get to the 19th century is the question. Lego.
In 1612, Russia was in a state of anarchy.
Oh yeah, the time of troubles.
They called it the Time of Troubles. The people were terrorized by war, famine, and plague. Up to a third of them perished. Foreign troops occupied Moscow, Smolensk, and Novgorod. But then, Russia fought back. Prince Pozharsky and a merchant, Kuzma Minin, led the Russian militia to Moscow and threw out the Polish garrison. Since 2005, this event has been commemorated every 4th of November as Russian National Unity Day.
Wow. Red Square. The Romanovs. Are these the Romanovs that last until 1917?
The Russian Assembly, the Zemsky Sabor, realized the country had to unite behind a new ruler and elected a 16-year-old noble, Mikhail Romanov, as the next Tsar. His dynasty would rule Russia for the next 300 years. Tsar Mikhail exchanged territory for peace, winning Russia much-needed breathing space. His son, Tsar Alexei, implemented a new legal code, the Sabornoye Uluzhenie. It turned all Russian peasants, 80% of the population, into serfs, effectively slaves, their status inherited by their children and with no freedom to travel or choose their master.
That's a big L for Alexei.
It was a system that dominated Russian rural life for the next 200 years.
Divine. Was it
the head of
divine right to rule? Was that what it boils down to for that guy?
The Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Nikon, imposed religious reforms that split the church between reformers and old believers. It's a schism that continues to this day.
Interesting.
Ukrainian Cossacks, rebelling against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, recognized Tsar Alexei as overlord in exchange for his military support. It led to the 13 Years' War between Russia and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Russia emerged victorious, reclaiming Smolensk and taking control of eastern Ukraine. A revolt against Tsarist government, led by a renegade Cossack, Stenka Razin, brought anarchy to southern Russia. It was finally suppressed. Razin was brought to Moscow and executed by quartering.
Dang.
The sickly but highly educated Fyodor III passed many reforms. He abolished Mesnichestva, the system that had awarded government posts according to nobility rather than merit, and symbolically burned the ancient books of rank.
Okay, we got some progressivism.
But Fyodor died aged just 19. His sister Sophia became Princess Regent, ruling on behalf of her younger brothers, the joint Tsars Ivan V and Peter I. After centuries of conflict, Russia and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth signed a Treaty of Eternal Peace. Russia then joined the Holy League in its war against the Ottoman Empire. Sophia's reign also saw the first treaty between Russia and China,
Wow.
establishing the frontier between the two states.
Peter the Great.
At age 17, Peter I seized power from his half-sister Sophia.
Seized?
Peter became the first Russian ruler to travel abroad. He toured Europe with his Grand Embassy, seeking allies for Russia's war against Turkey.
Wow, he went to London.
And learning the latest developments in science and shipbuilding.
Wow, that's pretty cool though that he went on such a grand tour in the 1690s.
The war against Turkey was successfully concluded by the Treaty of Constantinople. Russia gained Azov from Turkey's ally, the Crimean Khanate, and with it, a foothold on the Black Sea. Peter made many reforms, seeking to turn Russia into a modern European state. He demanded Russian nobles dress and behave like Europeans. He made those who refused to shave pay a beard tax.
Really?
Peter built the first Russian navy, reformed the army and government, and promoted industry, trade, and education.
Wow.
In the Great Northern War, Russia, Poland, Lithuania, and Denmark took on the dominant power in the Baltic, Sweden. The war began badly for Russia with a disastrous defeat to Charles XII of Sweden at Narva. But Russia won a second Battle of Narva, before crushing Charles XII's army at the Battle of Poltava. On the Baltic coast, Peter completed construction of a new capital, St. Petersburg.
There it is.
The building of what would become Russia's second largest city among coastal marshes was a remarkable achievement, though it cost the lives of many thousands of serfs. The Great Northern War ended with the Treaty of Neustadt. Russia's gains at Sweden's expense made it the new dominant Baltic power. 4 years before his death, Peter was declared Peter the Great, father of his country, emperor of all the Russias.
The 4 empresses.
Peter was succeeded by his wife Catherine, then his grandson Peter II, who died of smallpox, aged just 14. Empress Anna Ivanovna, daughter of Peter the Great's half-brother Ivan V, was famed for her decadence and the influence of her German lover Ernst Biron. During Anna's reign, Vitus Bering, a Danish explorer in Russian service, led the first expedition to chart the coast of Alaska. He also discovered the Aleutian Islands, and later gave his name to the sea that separates Russia and America.
Ah!
After Anna's death, her infant grandnephew Ivan VI was deposed by Peter the Great's daughter Elizabeth. Ivan VI spent his entire life in captivity. Until age 23, he was murdered by his guards during a failed rescue attempt. Elizabeth, meanwhile, was famed for her vanity, extravagance, and many young lovers. But she was also capable of decisive leadership. In alliance with France and Austria, Elizabeth led Russia into the 7 Years' War against Frederick the Great of Prussia. The Russian army inflicted a crushing defeat on Frederick at the Battle of Kunersdorf, but failed to exploit its victory. Meanwhile, in St. Petersburg, the Winter Palace was completed at vast expense. It would remain the monarch's official residence right up until the Russian Revolution of 1917. Peter III was Peter the Great's grandson by his elder daughter Anna Petrovna, who died as a consequence of childbirth. Raised in Denmark, Peter spoke hardly any Russian, and greatly admired Russia's enemy, Frederick the Great. So he had Russia swap sides in the 7 Years' War, saving Frederick from almost certain defeat.
That's really interesting. So, because of his idol, he switched sides for his entire nation. That's crazy.
Peter's actions angered many army officers, and he'd always been despised by his German wife, Catherine. Together, they deposed Peter III, who died a week later in suspicious circumstances.
Yeah, he was murdered.
His wife, Catherine, became Empress of Russia. Her reign would be remembered as one of Russia's most glorious.
Catherine the Great.
Epic History TV.
Boom. Just like that. Just like that, we're 2 episodes down in the history of Russia. What a interesting video so far. We're learning about the economic impact of them joining, not joining, but building St. Petersburg and also being the Black Sea, building their superpower strength, enhancing their world stage even more with embedding, not embedding, but attacking Prussia through Poland, Lithuania, holding off the Ottomans. They are basically someone that you can rely on now if you're one of the big powers like France, Austria, etc., etc. So Russia has, we're leading up right to like the 1800s now. Will give us an opportunity to kind of really, start to see the growth of Russia into the Napoleonic age, as well as they go through the Napoleonic age through 1917, and then of course it changes again. But before any of that, we get to say a little bit more about Catherine the Great. And so far, there's just been more pro-Russia growth that's happening, whether it be through treaties or through expansion or so forth. It seems up until Peter III, it seems that everybody's been pretty consistent on what they're trying to uphold. I'm sure I'll have more thoughts in the future, but that's pretty much what I got today. Appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Bye-bye.